Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Well, the storm that we were watching this weekend just missed the coast. I mean, just missed, by 5 miles. Snow was reported just off the New Jersey coast, but the majority of the steady snow remained well to the east of the Northern Mid-Atlantic, with only a few scattered snow showers over parts of Long Island and immediate coastal New Jersey. Otherwise, the majority of the snow remained over the Atlantic and also over Cape Cod this morning, where they did get a couple of inches of accumulation. Now, this storm is moving out into the Atlantic and will become a major player later on down the road for another potential storm, which I'll get to in a minute. High pressure will be in control for the most part through this week, with clear skies, diminishing winds after this afternoon. Winds this afternoon anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. Then they'll decline for the rest of the week. There is a chance of a few scattered snow showers on Wednesday night from a clipper, but that clipper will be weakening rapidly and will be moisture starved. So at most, maybe a few flurries, but that's about it. So generally, a quiet week is expected for much of the Northern Mid-Atlantic. So you can get out and get your Christmas gifts and whatnot. Temperatures will remain cold, generally in the mid-30s for most locations. Could reach the upper 30s over parts of southern New Jersey. But overall, again, another week in December where temperatures are going to be below normal. This is the entire month so far. So really, we haven't seen anything like what some were suggesting of a warm winter so far. It clearly has not. Oh, by the way, winter officially starts as far as the scientific calendar, so to speak, tomorrow evening. So get ready for the winter solstice to begin, which should be rather nice. And I believe there's an eclipse too at the same time, so it's a rather unique situation. Now, there is a rather significant potential for a major storm during the Christmas weekend. Let's take a look at the latest model guidance to kind of break down the potential here. Okay, so this is the European model guidance from the Penn State EWOL website. And basically this is on Friday night, Christmas Eve, for those who celebrate. And there are a few key features to keep an eye on. Now, I'm using the European model guidance because it's usually the most trustworthy in the mid-range, but we all know how the models have been of late. But still, there is a pretty strong agreement of a potential for a storm. So on Christmas Eve, if you notice, we have a rather impressive ridge over the Rockies. Remember the last storm I said if the upper level low stays off the northwest coast and this ridge remains intact, the potential for a major storm is very real. Well, this weekend the ridge was shoved to the east a little bit too fast, and as a result the whole storm was 5 miles off the coast. However, in this case so far with all the model guidance, this question really isn't that much of an issue. The upper level low is well into the Gulf of Alaska. We have a nice, impressive ridge over the Rockies, and that allows a deep trough over the Mississippi River Valley. And notice we have two disturbances. This is called a phase. If this phase does not happen correctly on the model guidance, then the storm is not as impressive, or it's too further to the west or too far to the east. In short, this is one of the reasons why we need to be cautious before we get excited about winter storm on Christmas Day, because the timing of these disturbances will be extremely important. But as you can see, over the northeast, we have what's called a convergent flow, which means that high pressure should be in control on Friday night. So if you're traveling on Friday night, conditions look pretty good. When we move to Saturday, though, which is Christmas Day, we can see at 500 millibars, theoretically, this is a setup for a major winter storm. Again, this is on Saturday evening, so this is Christmas evening. Notice again, we have our very impressive ridge that is set up over the Rockies. It's a near perfect position. And we have a negatively tilted trough developing over the southeast. It's tilting at just the right time, and as a result, because we have a negative NAO pattern, notice we have convergence and confluence over northern New England and the St. Lawrence River Valley and parts of the Canadian Maritimes. So that means high pressure is going to be to the north of the region, so we have cold air in place. We have all the features that you need for a major winter storm. And also notice all the model guidance is also showing the polar vortex, the upper level low over the Gulf of Alaska is well to the west, So we don't see any type of upper level low crashing into the west coast and knocking down the ridge too quickly. So clearly we're in a better setup for the Pacific and for the Atlantic. But again, this solution here with the trough tilting negative is depending on the timing of phasing. So if the phasing is too fast or too early, again, different solution than what we're seeing this morning for Christmas Day. And at the surface, as a result of this setup at 500 millibars, you see an area of low pressure that's developing around North Carolina and South Carolina. That is going to cause problems for those in the southern mid-Atlantic potentially, because notice we have cold air building down into parts of North Carolina and Virginia. So any precipitation that develops could be in the form of frozen precipitation. For New York City and Philadelphia, the precipitation will start to move towards the region on Christmas night. Again, I wouldn't go into too many details here, but yes, there does look like a potential. And when we go to 500 millibars on Sunday evening, you could see the result of a perfect phase with a perfect setup. Our strong upper level low is sitting over New York City and gradually moving towards New England. So think about this: for the past 12 hours, this upper level low is developing over the mid-Atlantic and driving towards southern New England. That usually leads to a rather significant snowfall for the northern mid-Atlantic. Again, we have to wait for details. A new disturbance starts moving into the west. We're going to watch out for that because this storm is going to reinvigorate the negative NAO pattern. And we already start to see hints of a new PNA ridge developing with our old block. Remember, this block that's sitting over Canada, over Western Canada, is the result from what was the negative NAO pattern from this weekend. So this block continues to sit over Western Canada. Any ridges tries to develop that's currently off the west coast in this forecast model guidance will eventually move into the Rockies again because the pattern keeps on moving, and we end up with another ridge for next week. What does this look at the surface? Well, at the surface, our low pressure system has bombed out over Long Island. Again, if everything works correctly with the phasing, this solution would be valid. If the phase was a little bit too early, this low pressure system might be over, let's say, Philadelphia, and a much warmer solution would set up. And if it happened too late, well, that low pressure system may be further out in the Atlantic, like this weekend storm. So we're going to have to obviously keep an eye on things. But notice behind this storm, very cold air comes in. Our new disturbance over the southwest starts to move into the southern plains. Keep an eye on that because this storm reinvigorates the negative NAO pattern. As a result, the pattern slows down. New ridge starts to develop along the west coast and over the Rockies eventually later on next week. And the result is, boom, another potential snowstorm. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this pattern. Clearly, we are in a pattern where the potential, not the guarantee, but the potential is there for a very active and potentially snowy winter pattern for the northern mid-Atlantic. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the details. That's pretty much where it comes down to with winter storms. The details are very important. So I'll keep an eye on this potential storm, and if there needs to be warnings or emails issued, you can trust on NYNJPA Weather to give you the latest information. Thank you for visiting NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the northern mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day.